Welcome back to my channel and a warm welcome to all the new subscribers and for all of you who have been here since the start with me, so very warm welcome to all of you, and each and every one of you have added so much beauty and wisdom and value into the community. So really guys, your comments are so beautiful. Like when I read them, I feel more inspired to create more discourses and teachings for you. So truly, despite so much we have to go through in this journey, community, the spirit of community is what matters. So a warm welcome to all of you. And today's topic, this is going to be a deep one, and I want you to really settle in with me because today's teaching is not about surface level behaviors, labels, or casual advice. We are going to talk about one of the most confusing, emotionally raw, and spiritually important dynamics on the twin flame journey. Is the divine masculine in your life truly your twin flame? Or are you mistaking his inner turmoil for something darker, like narcissism? So take a moment, let it sit in before I delve deeper. And I know this question comes, this brings up so much, and a lot comes up to the surface. Because when you are the divine feminine, you are staring into silence, avoidance, self absorption, or even arrogance. It feels like you are with someone toxic. Like imagine you spend so much time with that person and he really makes you feel like home, and then he treats you like even none of the present day memories exist. Like he, of course there could have been a distance, there could have been some time apart, but the treatment, that's what we are looking at here. It can look like narcissism, and it can feel like rejection, and it breaks your heart to even ask, am I crazy thinking this is my divine masculine, or is he just incapable of love? The thing is, we have all been there before, we have all living it for some. And I've also worked with countless clients who are wrestling with this exact confusion. And that's why I want to take you deep into the internal war of the divine masculine, a war that is too easily mislabeled, misunderstood, and judged. And this isn't about excusing bad behavior. I want to be really clear here. This isn't about excusing bad behavior. This isn't about minimizing your pain either. This is about clarity. Because when you can tell the difference between narcissism and the true struggles of a twin flame in awakening, when your divine masculine is in awakening, you can reclaim your sanity, your boundaries, and your faith in the journey. So let's delve right deep. Let's delve right in. Let's delve deeply into this. The silent battle that our divine masculine faces within. When we look at our divine masculine today, collectively, not just individually, we see a lot of acting out, ghosting, emotional shutdown, cold responses, projection, telling you off, being mean, being cruel, saying things like showing a lot of anger, saying things like you will never ever speak to you again, or saying things like you don't matter, and like he just wants to push you away, or running away, or embarrassing you, in a sense that he's prioritizing himself, his work, his friends, his gym, his network, his business, anything but you. And naturally the first thought that comes up is, isn't this narcissism? Here's the hard truth. Sometimes it is. Some people are narcissists, so let's not dismiss that. Some people exploit others. They do. We do exploit others. But in a genuine twin flame dynamic, what looks like narcissism is often something very different. It is the sign of an inner civil war. The masculine soul pulled in two opposite directions, the longing for love versus the terror of being engulfed, the desire to be seen versus the shame of exposure, the drive for independence versus the magnetic pull of union. And that war is exhausting. It creates behaviors that mimic narcissism: silence, withdrawal, coldness, self focus, but the intent behind them is completely different. So, a narcissist withdraws to punish you. A masculine, our divine masculine, withdraws to survive himself. A narcissist talks only about himself because he thinks he's superior. But our divine masculine talks about his work, his projects, his body because he feels inferior, and those are the only areas where he still feels in control. So, do you see the difference? The symptom looks the same, but the root is opposite. The root cause is opposite. So, this is what I'll call the narcissist facade. So, let's break this down further. When a divine masculine shuts down, it often looks like arrogance. He doesn't reply, he dismisses your feelings, he changes the subjects when things get emotional. On the surface, that's classic narcissist behavior. But ask yourself this: does he actually enjoy hurting you? Does he take pleasure in your pain? Or is he trying desperately not to drown in his own? Or is he desperately trying to protect you by shielding you away from him by being mean? So, in most twin flame cases, his coldness isn't about you, it's about him. It's his mask, it's his facade. He obsesses over his mission, his body. So that's why you see divine masculines are obsessed with jogging every day, going to the gym, hanging out with his gym friends, and trying to create this facade of travel and business, suiting up, this, trying to constantly show the world that perfectionism is his way of life, because those are the areas where he can measure himself. With you, there is no measure, there is no escape, there is only exposure. And that exposure is unbearable. When shame is running the show, you know, really, that exposure is unbearable because shame is running the show. Even his silence is not the silence of a manipulator, it's the silence of someone who cannot yet put words to what's happening inside. And I know that hurts. I know how easily this can feel like abandonment. As divine feminines, not only this lifetime, we experience it lifetimes after lifetimes. But I want you to hold this truth: it is not malice, it is defense. So, the twin flame catalyst, let's talk about why this dynamic becomes so intense in twin flame unions. Why are you both becoming catalysts to each other? As the divine feminine, when we step into our divine masculine's life, we don't just bring love, we bring the mirror, and that mirror is merciless. We reflect back his deepest fears of inadequacy, his hidden wounds of rejection, his unresolved childhood pain, and his unhealed shame. And suddenly, the divine masculine, who once felt stable in his world, now feels exposed, stripped bare and undone. And this is why so many divine masculines literally run in so many ways, physically, energetically. It's not because he doesn't love you, it's because loving you forces him to see himself. And for someone carrying deep wounds, that feels like annihilation, and that is why he pulls back, he cancels plans, he ignores texts, he prolongs separation or acts distance, or worse, tells you things like he's not interested, he doesn't like you, he accuses you of stalking, he accuses you of this, he literally runs away, he behaves like a boy, he can embarrass you, he can insult you, and all of this will look like a narcissist. But remember, some is because he thinks by pushing you away, you will move on and be with someone else. Even though he might not be able to accept it, at that moment he thinks that's the solution. But see it this way, not because you don't matter, but because you matter too much. It is paradoxical, the deeper the love, the more terrified the divine masculine becomes. And that fear expresses itself in ways that look narcissistic. Self-focus, withdrawal, coldness, anger, frustration, showing his face to you. But underneath it all, it's not indifference. It's the alchemical fire of awakening. So that's why I wanted to take this time to distinguish between true narcissism and twin flame struggles. So how do you know which one you're dealing with? So how do you tell the difference between a narcissist and a masculine in turmoil? So here are the clear distinctions. Defense versus malice. A twin flame's behaviors, a divine masculine's behavior are often defensive, not malicious. You will see cracks of guilt, moments of softness, small attempts to reconnect. A narcissist exploits consistently with no remorse. Remorse versus indifference. A true divine masculine may never say that he's sorry right away, but you'll feel the energy of remorse. He carries the guilt. A narcissist feels nothing for the harm he has caused. Growth versus stagnation. The divine masculine's path is cyclical: expansion, collapse, retreat, return. There is slow, painful growth over time, and narcissists stay in repetitive loops. No growth, no self awareness. And here are the red flags of true narcissism that you will never see in a genuine divine masculine: exploiting you for material or social gain, deliberately humiliating you, taking sadistic enjoyment in control. So if you've seen him crack, cry, circle back, or even just show flashes of vulnerability, you're not dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a soul in conflict. Now let's move more into healing, because discernment without action is useless. And for us divine feminines, stop personalizing his defenses. They are about him, not you. And anchor into your own field. Boundaries are not rejection, they are coherence. Focus on intent, not just behavior. If you sense remorse, softness, or growth beneath the chaos, trust that. And for the divine masculines out there, the mask has to go. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be honest. Your silence doesn't protect you, it isolates you. Every retreat is a chance to come back differently, not with more walls, but with more truth. And for both, the turmoil is not punishment, it is purification. It burns away the false identities, the toxic patterns, the ego defenses. It can hurt like hell, but it clears the path for authentic love. So that's why, if you were to really, really look into all of this, you will notice it can be very, very confusing, right? And your thoughts would go around. Is the divine masculine in your life truly your divine masculine, or are you mistaking his silent battles for something darker? So that's why I felt like today's topic was necessary, because when we really, really break down and pull back the veil and look at what looks like narcissism and what your divine masculine is going through, you will notice they're totally two different things. Because what our DM goes through is the hidden struggle of soul evolution. And that's why, at this point, I hope you are able to tell the difference and why it matters for your path and toward union, you know. And that's the reality. Divine masculines drown in inner war. On the surface, it definitely looks cold, self absorbed, and even narcissistic. But beneath the surface is a man torn open by the intensity of love. And that distinction changes everything. So that's why you got to really, really look at it this way. Why are so many divine masculines today acting out or retreating? Really, let me be very clear. It's not about excusing harm, but context. You see, that's what I hope to summarize here. You know, narcissism versus survival strategy. For example, you know, I just want to go through a few examples before I wrap up. You know, like a divine masculine ignoring texts for days. This can, the feminine can, and as a divine feminine, he can feel discarded. But in truth, he's panicking because he feels unworthy. And sometimes career obsession or trying to make his name in society can look like vanity. You know, suddenly your DM might be the kind of person who never wears a suit. You know, he's always in like wearing a t-shirt, and he's always wearing jeans and always trying to look like a startup founder. And then all of a sudden he might change his dressing style, you know, and the more he's in separation with you, the more he may try to show you that, hey, he's living, you know, he's trying to he might portray the role like he's um truly being successful, you know, like he's like investor, you know, like an angel investor. You know, you will notice all these changes, and when you look at the picture, you might feel triggered. You know, you might be like, oh my goodness, you know, he says he really moved on, or is he like that. So it might look like narcissism, you know, but this isn't narcissism. This is fear dressed up as control. You know, like posing in events, or trying to show you that, you know, he's really making a difference. But the truth is, he's just dressed up as control. So that's why the divine masculine's coping mechanism often can mimic narcissism. You know, the withdrawal, arrogance is a big thing, emotional unavailability. But you see, there's a clear difference between self-love and self-obsession, you know. So how the obsession with mission or fitness often masks shame, not superiority. And think about this, you know, silence isn't manipulation. It's a desperate attempt to stop the bleeding of overwhelming feelings. So that's why I wanted to emphasize, you know, a narcissist withdraws to punish, a divine masculine withdraws to survive. And that's the difference, you know. It's life changing for the divine feminine's discernment. So that's why I wanted to go a little bit on the push and pull dynamic, you know. How, as the divine feminine, we trigger our divine masculine's unresolved shadows, you know, fear of engulfment. He thinks that if he lets you in, he will lose himself. Fear of inadequacy. She deserves more than I can give. Fear of exposure. She sees every part of me I've hidden. Show how, you know, I want to show you how, at this situation, the push and pull dynamic is playing out here. It's not rejection, but alchemy. So let's see it this way, all right? The mirror is an alchem. It's like alchemy. It burns away the masks. It literally alchemizes that, you know. So for example, he cancels plans last minute, or he suddenly, you know, he keeps saying that he will meet you, he will come over, and years pass and he can't face you. Or he cancels plans not because you don't matter, but because seeing you means seeing himself. And this mirror is unbearable in unhealed state. So what looks like narcissism may actually be the sacred chaos of awakening. So that's why discerning narcissism from a genuine twin flame divine masculine turmoil is very important, you know. So that's why if you see him cry, regret, or circle back in small ways, you're not dealing with a narcissist. You're dealing with a soul in turmoil. And this is what I wanted to like truly, truly emphasize. And that's why the divine masculines, our divine masculines turmoil may look like rejection, it may even look like narcissism, but the truth is, beneath all of it, his soul is being stripped bare. And here's the key: a true divine masculine will always, in his own stumbling, imperfect way, move towards love, not control. Of course, category one, a lot of diversions. Category two, a lot of internal diversions. But when you see the difference, confusion dissolves. You no longer wonder if you're crazy, if you have been discarded, and if it was all an illusion. You know the truth. This is not narcissism. This is the fire of twin flame awakening. And out of this fire, true union can rise. That's why being anchored, being discerning, and above all, staying in your clarity is very important, because that clarity is what brings union closer. And the divine masculine's turmoil may look like rejection, it may even look like narcissism, but beneath it, something bigger is happening. His soul is being stripped bare. So here's the message I want you to walk away with: a true divine masculine, now matter, no matter how perfectly, no matter how slowly, will always, always, always come back to you. Narcissist control, and our role as the divine feminine is not to excuse everything. Drawing boundaries, very, very important, but to discern, to know the difference between distortion and destruction, to see when a man is hiding behind his wounds versus when he's incapable of growth. Because when you see the truth, you no longer live in confusion. You no longer question your worth. You no longer collapse into maybe he doesn't care. You stand in clarity, and that clarity brings the union feel closer. So this is not narcissism. This is the fire of divine masculine awakening. And if you can hold your ground in that fire, both of you can rise from it, purified, aligned, and ready for true union. So thank you for staying with me through this teaching. I know it's not easy and it could trigger a lot of you, but I promise you, clarity is always the first intention to freedom. So stay anchored, stay discerning, and above all, stay in your clarity. I'll see you all again in the next discourse. And remember, God is with you always. All right, take care and bye bye.